What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So shout out to Frank for sending me another clip of President Trump talking about Social Security. It was the 90th anniversary of Social Security. And so he was talking about just the benefit or what they've been doing in the last 6 months when it comes to Social Security. But he also mentioned that there are no taxes on Social Security. So he mentioned it again. And so President Trump is sitting in the Oval Office and he's reading this information, this prepared statement. And so I'm going to show you this clip. But there was one thing that the last video that I did where we talked about no tax on Social Security. Now, you guys understand when it comes to Social Security, it's a $6,000 deduction, but people are still being taxed on Social Security. Okay, so just understand that. So when you hear politicians say no tax on Social Security, that is simply not true. Now, the last video that I did when I talked about this, I said there could be one of two things that's going on here. Either he doesn't know, so his staff haven't told him that what's in the bill, and so he thinks that no tax on Social Security is in the bill, or he knows, but he's purposely telling you no tax on Social Security just to mislead you because he doesn't believe that you're going to follow up. And realistically, it's only going to impact a small number of people receiving Social Security benefits. So I think they said about 88% of people receiving Social Security benefits won't have to pay taxes on their benefits. However, prior to the Big Beautiful Bill, and that's where all this came out in the Big Beautiful Bill, prior to that, it was like 63 or 64%. So they've increased the number of people that don't have to pay taxes, but you still have people that will have to pay taxes. Let's say 10%, 12%, whatever. And so those are the only people that will know, oh, I still have to pay taxes on my Social Security, but I heard President Trump say there was no tax on Social Security. So because it's a small number, maybe he's intentionally saying this because it keeps with his promise, because his promise was no tax on Social Security for everyone across the board. And so in order for him to keep that promise, he'll just keep saying this. And because in reality, it's only going to impact 10 to 12% of people, they're just saying, well, you know, we'll go ahead and just say that no tax on Social Security because it keeps with the pledge. But we all know, if you guys watch my channel, I've talked about it plenty of times. You guys know when it comes to Social Security, that is not in the bill. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'll play the clip, but I'm going to show you another clip. And this second clip proves that he does know that this no tax on Social Security that he's saying is not true, because he signs an executive order and they present the executive order to him. And it's kind of funny how they do this in the Oval Office. You'll have one of his aides will present the executive order. So basically say what's in the executive order. And that aide specifically lets the cat out of the bag when it comes to no tax on Social Security. And I'll show you what I mean. So let me play this first clip here, and then we'll play the second clip. And that second clip will prove my point when it comes to this whole talk of no tax on Social Security and what does the president know.
Among my very first acts was to order all government employees to return to the office or be removed from the job, which means our Social Security offices are now open for full business hours, 5 days a week. So unlike being shut down all the time, we're open at record levels also. We're making it really great for the people that want and demand Social Security, and they paid into the system. They deserve it. Last month, I signed one big, beautiful bill and allowed no tax on Social Security for our great seniors, okay? So how's that? Not bad, right? No tax on Social Security for our seniors. And to protect our benefits, we've already kicked nearly 275,000 illegal aliens off of the Social Security system. These are people, many of them have already left the country, and yet we were sending them checks all the time. And 275,000, and that number is now even larger than that, Frank. It's an unbelievable job.
Okay, so there you heard President Trump talking about no tax on Social Security. Now, I'm going to show you the second clip, and then I'm also going to talk a little bit about the 275,000 undocumented immigrants that were receiving Social Security benefits, basically is what he's saying. They were receiving checks, is what he said. So I want to talk a little bit about that as well, because that's more misleading information that's out there, and so I want to address that. But let me show you this clip first. And this clip is of an aide that is, he's signing an executive order, and so this aide is explaining the executive order. And so let me play that, and then we'll talk about it. Here we go.
Thank you very much.
And just for the record, that's Mr. Bizignanu there standing next to him.
I'm going to sign the new proclamation, please.
Sir, this is a proclamation both commemorating the 90th anniversary of the Social Security Act, the signing of the Social Security Act, and also the incredible accomplishments of your administration fixing and promoting and safeguarding Social Security. And it also obviously mentions the fact that as part of the One Big Beautiful Bill, a vast majority of our senior citizens are no longer paying taxes on their Social Security benefits, as you promised in your campaign and as you delivered for the American people.
That's a big factor, isn't it? Huh?
Yes, sir.
That's great.
So you heard what he said. A vast majority of people are not paying taxes on their Social Security. A vast majority, but not all. And so he is presenting this to the president's signing off on this executive order. He's talking about the big, beautiful bill and saying that a vast majority of people receiving Social Security benefits are no longer have to pay taxes. And so let me play it one more time.
A vast majority of our senior citizens are no longer paying taxes on their Social Security benefits, as you promised in your campaign and as you delivered for the American people.
Okay, so you heard it again. So when it comes down to it, a vast majority, but not everyone. And that's not keeping with the promise. The aide also said he's keeping with the promise that he made during the campaign. The promise that he made during the campaign is that there are going to be no taxes on Social Security benefits. That means everyone receiving Social Security benefits are not going to have to pay taxes on their benefits. And so I just thought that was interesting. I wanted to put that out there. So now you guys see, when it comes down to it, the president should know, because his aide just told him that the vast majority of people don't have to pay taxes on Social Security benefits, but some still do have to pay taxes. Okay, now, one more thing I want to talk about before we go. He was talking about 275,000 undocumented immigrants are receiving checks, and now they no longer are receiving those checks because they went ahead and took them off the records or whatever. And so I want to talk a little bit about this. Now, when it comes to Social Security benefits, we all know they don't just give Social Security benefits to everyone. First, you need to earn your credits, so work at least 10 years, and you need to be at the age where you can collect Social Security benefits in order to get those benefits, okay? So you have to have time worked, and you also have to have that age requirement. If you are undocumented and you are working, guess what? There's no documentation of you working. And if you're using someone else's Social Security number, that is not going to come back to you. You're not going to receive those benefits because you're using someone else's Social Security number. And so you're not going to be able to collect Social Security benefits. And so these checks that he's talking about that are going out, that's just not happening. And when it comes to the other argument is, well, it's SSI. SSI, they're qualifying for SSI. That's how they're receiving these checks. If you are undocumented, you do not qualify for SSI. So you don't qualify for Social Security. You don't qualify for SSI. What you might be hearing is people who are documented, so they're here legally. So they're immigrants. They're in this country legally. They have work permits. They're able to work, and they pay into Social Security. They don't collect right away because, as I stated, you need the 10 years, and then you also need the age requirement. And so you might be hearing of that, but they're legally here. They're documented. But the president is talking about people who are illegally here. They don't have documentation. If you don't have documentation, you're not going to qualify for SSI or Social Security. Now, when it comes to SSI, in certain situations, if you are documented, if you have documentation, so you're legally here, you can collect SSI for a period of time. But there's some really strict requirements when it comes to SSI. And so by him saying this, 275,000, that number that he's putting out there, that is the updated information from the Social Security Administration. And so what the current administration is doing is they are eliminating a lot of the work permits that are out there. So you have people who are legally here, they're working, they're eliminating those work permits. Or they're making the people who are here, let's say you're on a special status, they're eliminating that special status, which means that now you are here illegally. And so you were here legally before, but now you're here illegally. So you're not able to work. You're not able to pay into Social Security. And for some, a small number that were here legally before, they eliminated some of the special statuses. And for a small group that were here legally and collecting Social Security, so they met the requirement, they paid into Social Security for 10 years, they met the age requirement, and they were collecting Social Security, but they were documented, they were legally here. And then they changed their status, so now they're illegally here. And so in that situation, they might not qualify for Social Security benefits anymore. But for the vast number of people that he's talking about here, when it comes to Social Security and collecting checks and all that, that's just not true. Okay, they might have changed their status, and so they've eliminated, so they no longer have work permits. So if you no longer have a work permit, usually when you have the work permit, they give you that temporary Social Security, or basically give you a Social Security number that you can only use for work purposes. They've eliminated those. That's what they're talking about. And those people that he's talking about, they were here legally before, and they were paying into Social Security. And so he's talking about 275,000 people, but guess what? A lot of those people were contributing to Social Security, and most of them won't even be able to collect Social Security. So they were paying, they were actually helping through FICA, they were helping pay out benefits to people who are currently receiving benefits. So I just wanted to clear that up. And then just so you know, at this point, I think June, the last numbers that we received were from June. There's about 207,000 people have been deported. Okay, so 207,000 people have been deported. He did kind of mention that a lot of them are no longer here, but he didn't give a number. But I just wanted to kind of give you a number on how many people have been deported. So if you're saying 275,000 or more, that's what he said, 275,000 or more, and a lot of them have been deported already. I don't even know if we could even say that when it comes to 275,000, and a lot of them have been deported. And so I just wanted to put that information out to you guys. If you guys have any other questions, let me know down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye. So that's all we have for this video. Make sure if you guys want to send me an email, you can do that, david@thetecshow.com. Like the video, subscribe for more, and check out these videos over here for some more great content. Talk to you later. Bye.